Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today we're doing a rapid-fire review for Everdell Duo. Rapid-fire reviews are a format on the channel where I try to cover a game as well as give you my thoughts and opinions, aiming for 10 minutes or less. Sometimes I make it, sometimes I don't. But with that said, Everdell Duo is basically a riff on the traditional Everdell game, which means I'm going to loosely tell you about how Everdell works, I'll tell you about how Everdell Duo differentiates itself from Everdell, and then I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. Everdell is a tableau building game in which you're going to be drafting various cards, place them into your own little villages, and trying to combo the various abilities on the cards, all while working your way towards ideally managing your production and your resources, but also being mindful at the end of the game, points are the thing that matters. To that end, you're going to have these workers over here that are going to be able to be placed down to various spots on the board in order to go ahead and give you resources. Resources can be used to pay for cards, of which there are 5 basic types. There's production cards, those are going to be those green cards, which are going to produce when you build them, as well as at certain points in the change of the seasons. Then you're going to have these point scoring cards, you're going to have these cards that give you worker placement spots, these one-time ability cards, and then blue cards are going to be cards that trigger off of various things or often give you discounts. You're trying to manage all of this, but also being mindful of the fact that the cards are very expensive at times, and you have to keep those resources coming if you want to be able to stay ahead. You're also going to be doing a lot of other things, and particularly you're going to be going for these goals over here. Those are going to be extra ways of getting points as you achieve certain conditions on those goals. That's the general idea of how Everdell as a structure works. Also, you're going to be going through 4 different seasons as you go through it. You're going to be gaining extra workers as you move season to season, which means you can do more each round. These are just the basics of Everdell as a core game concept. And there's Everdell Farshore, there's Everdell Spirecrest, Silver Frost, all of these things. There's so many, there's expansions, there's collector's editions, there's so many things, and now we have Everdell Duo. Everdell Duo differentiates itself in 2 main ways. The first is the shift from the way you have the arc of the game. Normal Everdell is going to have you managing your own seasons independently. As you run out of things, you move to the next season, and other players can do that whenever they're ready to do so. In Everdell Duo, you're managing these 2 tokens over here, moving these along these pathways in order to choose what actions you're taking. Depending on what you move, you're going to be able to, depending on what you do, you're going to move these along, and once you get to the end, you can't do that thing anymore. So you can't place a worker if the sun is already at the end. You can't play a card if the moon is already at the end, and so you're managing these resources, but you might be able to do different things. Maybe I place more workers this round and you play more cards because we pick and choose the actions we take and how it moves things along. There's also the aspect that you can only take cards from this meadow if they're next to the sun or moon, giving you additional puzzle of trying to think, oh, I want that card, but I have to wait till that thing gets there, or maybe I can drive that thing there and hope that I'm the one to buy it. So it kind of mixes up the way you gather cards and the way the overall season approach works. Additionally, it adds in a cooperative mode as well as a full campaign to go through. You can play it solo or cooperatively to play through this campaign with these goals. Those are the main high notes as far as what's being done differently in Everdell Duo. So smaller box, smaller cards, smaller components, a change to the way the general season arc works as well as how you gather cards in the meadow, and then adding in that solo or cooperative campaign or general cooperative single shot mode as well. That's kind of the overview, which brings me to my rapid fire review, starting off with the first question: am I keeping it? And the answer for that is no. Why or why not? Well, in this case, unfortunately, while I was very intrigued by the premise of Everdell Duo, specifically the campaign was the main thing that had me interested, because the core gameplay is the same general structure as Everdell, and so I was very intrigued as to what the campaign adds, especially going through it as a cooperative experience. This is my first time playing Everdell cooperatively, and I thought that would be a nice twist on the formula, give me something else to kind of enjoy. Let's both build our tableaus and go for our goals and see how that plays out. And unfortunately for me, it didn't deliver in any of the aspects. Make no mistake, this is still a good game. We'll cover it more in final thoughts. But unfortunately, the main premise of how the seasons work and how you gather cards, that was mostly a step back for me. I like the traditional Everdell as far as how you manage your own seasons, and having this shared economy, it felt tighter, which some of you may appreciate, but for me it just felt more constricted as far as getting things done, even though there is a nice tension that gets introduced as far as who chooses what action, or even where the cards are. So some nice things being added, but overall this main shift to the gameplay felt like a step backwards for me. Additionally, the cards, components, the overall, like the cards are smaller, which means the art is smaller, and the art's amazing, so there definitely were production step backs, so I mean at a more affordable price point, but production step backs and changes to the general formula that were not bad, but still felt like a little bit of a step backwards and less of a step forwards. But then more importantly for me, I felt kind of disappointed by the campaign. I didn't feel that pulled in by the individual campaigns, scenarios as you go through them. I didn't feel that challenged by them. It kind of felt For I guess our full disclosure awareness and whatnot, I did not finish the campaign. I went through a bunch of games and then felt I had seen enough, and maybe it gets better as you go later on, I don't know, but overall I just wasn't invested enough in those cooperative experiences, so I was really hoping for that co-op to shine through. It didn't for me. As far as other game recommendations to check out, definitely check out any of the other flavors of Everdell. Everdell is a fantastic game. I think Farshore and Silverfrost are both excellent variations of it, but honestly I don't think you can go wrong with base Everdell or any of the expansions either. So any of them are all fantastic. This is the one that I felt most deflated by, although also there is Everdell Jr. or My Little Everdell. I think they've changed the name to one thing or another, and that one still is good, but that one I think you have to know the target audience. That is a good gateway version of Everdell. And then also check out Viticulture World. That's another interesting example of a game where a very popular game went cooperative in their Viticulture World expansion, giving you a way to engage in that worker placement game with a full cooperative element. Additionally, it's worth noting that also didn't work for me, so I wonder if maybe it's just I don't particularly vibe when a fully competitive game goes cooperative, although I can think of times it has worked, just neither of these are those times. As far as a counter opinion, well, first of all, I kind of just touched upon it. It could just be that I'm not the one who vibed with the cooperative. You might vibe it a bit more, especially if you don't like competitive games. Meaning I like competitive games and I like cooperative games. So for me, I've been able to thoroughly love Everdell as it is because I like both formulas, both genres. If you don't like competitive, then this might be your way to actually engage with Everdell while still sticking to the taste that you enjoy. Additionally, it is a lower price point, which means that an easier way to jump into the series, giving you a good overall flavor of Everdell. This mostly captures what Everdell does, and it does so at a much smaller price point while giving you multiple ways of engaging in the game. So I still think it is interesting to try out an experiment and see if any of those things work for you. As far as final thoughts on it, ultimately for me, rating-wise on this one, I don't know exactly where to go. I'm coming in at a 3.5 out of 5, but I do think that might be a harsher rating than it deserves. It's the weird balance of having a game you love and then comparing a game to it that is basically the same but not as good. And so if I were just playing this on its own, it probably would be higher, but I am rating it and considering it based on the overall world of Everdell that's out there, and in that capacity, it falls into that 3.5 rating for me. I still think it's a very good game. It is mostly Everdell, but I think in all the ways that I would want it to be better, it was a little worse, and unfortunately the main compelling aspect, which is the campaign as well as the cooperative play of it, those just didn't land for me, making this a bit of a miss while still being a very good game. In any case, and until next time, I hope you found this helpful. I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and as always, I hope you have a good one.